The hallway was alive with cruel laughter, the kind that cuts deeper than words. Tiana, a 13-year-old black girl with a prosthetic leg, froze as 3 classmates circled her, mocking the way she walked. One of them kicked her backpack, another tripped her, and the third recorded everything on her phone, whispering, "Let's make her famous." Books scattered. Her hands trembled, and tears mixed with the dust on the floor. Not a single teacher stepped in. Not a single voice spoke up. But just minutes later, that laughter would vanish because when Tiana's mother arrived, she didn't just confront the bullies. She taught everyone in that school a lesson they would never forget. Tiana had always been more than her disability. Born with a limb difference, she learned to walk before most doctors believed she could. Her mother, Monique, raised her alone in a small neighborhood on the south side of Atlanta, a place where dreams were often tested, but never broken. Monique worked 2 jobs, but no matter how exhausted she was, she never let Tiana see her weakness. Every morning before school, she'd say, "You walk with pride, baby. Don't let anyone tell you that you're less." And Tiana did. She faced each day with courage, wearing her prosthetic leg like a badge of strength. But middle school was a battlefield. The stares, the whispers, the snickers behind her back, she tried to ignore them all. Still, she dreamed of just one thing: to fit in, to be seen for who she was, not what she lacked. What she didn't know was that one cruel day at school would test everything her mother had ever taught her, and show the world what real strength looks like. It started during second period. Right after the bell rang, Tiana was walking toward her locker when she heard the snickers again, those same mean voices that had followed her for weeks. Before she could turn around, one of the girls, Brittany, stuck out her leg, tripping her. Tiana fell hard, the sound of her prosthetic clattering against the floor echoing through the hallway. The laughter that followed was louder this time, sharper. "Can you even feel that?" One of them jeered. Another girl, Jasmine, pulled out her phone, recording every second while pretending to help her up. "Smile for the camera," she said mockingly. Students gathered around, whispering, some laughing, others looking away in uncomfortable silence. No one stepped forward. Not one teacher came out of their classroom. Tiana's face burned with humiliation as she scrambled to collect her books, her hands shaking uncontrollably. She wanted to disappear. By lunchtime, the video was already all over Snapchat and Instagram. Tiana sat in the nurse's office, staring blankly at the wall, her lunch untouched. Every vibration of her phone felt like another dagger, another notification, another cruel comment. When the school finally called her mother, Monique, the secretary's voice was hesitant, almost nervous. "There's been an incident," she said softly. Monique didn't say a word at first. She simply grabbed her car keys and drove to the school, her heart pounding with every red light she passed. She'd taught her daughter to be strong. But hearing the tremor in Tiana's voice when she finally answered the phone shattered her. As she pulled into the school parking lot, one thought burned in her mind. "They hurt my child, and they will regret it." Monique walked into the school with a calmness that made the front desk receptionist nervous. She wasn't yelling, she wasn't crying, she was calculating. Her footsteps echoed down the hall as she headed straight for the principal's office. Inside sat the 3 girls, slouched in their chairs, smirking like this was just another detention. Their parents were there too, one mother tapping her nails on her phone screen, barely paying attention. "It was just a joke," she said dismissively. Monique's eyes locked onto hers. "A joke?" She repeated softly, her voice steady but heavy with anger that trembled beneath the surface. "You think humiliating a disabled child is a joke?" The room went still. Without another word, Monique pulled out her phone and pressed play. The room filled with the sound of laughter, the cruel comments, the video of her daughter falling, every detail captured in perfect, undeniable clarity. The bullies' faces turned pale. Their mothers shifted uncomfortably, realizing this was not going away. Monique didn't shout. She let the silence do the damage. Then she turned to the principal. "You saw teachers walk by. You saw students watching. And you did nothing. Tell me, how is that protecting children?" The principal fumbled for words, mumbling about policy and procedure. But Monique was already steps ahead. That morning, while driving, She had saved every post, every share, every comment. She had names, timestamps, proof of negligence. That evening, after taking Tiana home and holding her through her tears, Monique got to work. She wrote a detailed email with attachments, the video, screenshots, statements from other parents, and sent it to the school board, the district superintendent, and one local reporter she'd met at a charity event. Within hours, the story broke online. Disabled black girl bullied at school, district under fire. By sunrise, the school's phones wouldn't stop ringing. Reporters camped outside. Parents demanded answers. Monique arrived the next day, not as a grieving mother, but as a force of justice. She spoke calmly at the press conference. "My daughter doesn't need your pity. She needs your accountability." Her voice carried strength, the kind that makes people listen, the kind that changes things. And in that moment, everyone watching knew this wasn't just about Tiana anymore. It was about every child who'd ever been silenced, and the mother who refused to let it happen again. Within a week, everything had changed. The school board held an emergency meeting, and the story had reached every local news station. The 3 bullies were suspended, their parents forced to publicly apologize. But the real transformation wasn't just in punishment, it was in Tiana, when she returned to school. The same halls that once echoed with laughter now greeted her with silence and respect. Students who had ignored her before now came up to say they were sorry, offering hugs, apologies, even friendship. Tiana, nervous at first, lifted her chin a little higher each day. Her teachers began calling her an inspiration, and soon, the school introduced a new program for inclusivity and kindness, one Monique helped create, named after her daughter, Tiana's promise. Months later, during a school assembly, Tiana stood on stage. The same prosthetic leg that had once been mocked, now shining under the spotlight. The gym was packed, but this time, all eyes were filled with pride. "I used to wish I could hide," she said softly, her voice trembling yet strong. "But now I know what makes us different is what makes us powerful." Monique watched from the back row, tears glistening in her eyes. Justice had been served, but something even greater had happened. Her daughter had found her voice. And as the crowd stood to applaud, Monique whispered to herself, "Never underestimate a mother's love, or the strength it can awaken." If this story touched your heart, take a moment to think, what would you have done if this happened to your child? Would you have stayed silent or stood up like Monique did? Sometimes the most powerful change doesn't come from anger. It comes from courage, truth, and love. Tiana's story reminds us that real strength isn't about fighting back. It's about rising above. If stories like this move you, make sure to hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because every week, we share powerful true stories of Black strength, resilience, and justice that deserve to be heard.